Am I the a-hole for announcing that my dad's not paying my college tuition? My aunt and uncle are paying for my cousin's college. My dad had a college fund for me, but he had stipulations. Like he wanted nothing below a B for grades and to pre-approve any classes I take, weekly meetings to discuss grades, and a bunch of other stuffs. Which would be fine if you have a normal dad, but mine isn't. My dad has a temper, and I spent 6th to 12th grade stressed out about grades, and being screamed at or grounded over things that sometimes weren't even my fault. Like a teacher not updating online grading, and an assignment being marked missing because of it. And getting my backpack and locker randomly searched by him, for no reasons besides to make sure I'm not hiding anything. So I decided to pay for college myself because 1, not being stressed over getting screamed at, and 2, I didn't feel like constantly worrying that he'd disapprove of a class or a grade and decide not to pay, which I could totally see him doing. I'd rather be in debt than controlled for 4 more years, and I just finished my first year. Well, my family got together on 4th, and, well, sometimes they're nosy. They were talking about my cousin's school, and my uncle looked at my dad and said, "Well, how much is Sophie's school costing you?" I said, "What are you asking him for? I'm the one paying for it." Later on, my dad was pissed off and said that it was out of line to say that, and that I embarrassed him. I didn't do it to embarrass him. I was just being honest. He doesn't even know how much tuition is, so he was the wrong person to ask. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Lol, not the a-hole. I admire you. This 1,000 times. Props to Opie to ditching his dad's toxicity and being his own man. Now his pops has nothing to hold over him, and he can tell him to kick dirt when he does something toxic again, such as being mad about telling his uncle he's paying for his own school. Not the a-hole. So what if he was embarrassed? His emotions are not yours to manage. You just told the truth. Hell, expand on it. Yeah, there were too many micromanaging strings attached to accepting money that I didn't want to relieve my anxiety-ridden high school years. Also, your dad sounds ridiculous and kinda scary. Maybe low contact is the way to go. I decided that it wasn't worth my soul to have him pay for college. Not the a-hole. It's embarrassing to him that you hate his control so much you turn down college being paid. And rightly so, he should be embarrassed. Not the a-hole. Opie, it's really admirable how you're pursuing a college degree in spite of so many obstacles. I wish you best of luck. Thank you, I appreciate that. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for canceling stepdaughter's birthday party? My stepdaughter is in her upper teens, turning 18, and lives mostly with her mom. My husband works a lot and is a very involved dad, but asked me to be in charge of planning her party, and I agreed. I spent several $100s and many hours of my own time making sure I had everything just right. Recently, stepdaughter's mom verbally lashed out at my husband and was screaming and cussing at him. I snapped at her and told her she has no right to speak to my husband in that way and to shut her mouth. Stepdaughter flipped out saying I attacked her mom, and now both mom and stepdaughter are scared and traumatized. Stepdaughter also uninvited me from the birthday party, saying she's too uncomfortable to have me there and wants her mom there. The party I planned and paid for. So I ended up canceling the reservation, catering and decoration rentals, and opting to put that money towards what I feel is a better cause and use of my money. Am I the a-hole for ruining her birthday? Edited to Ed. Stepdaughter was not present for the argument. She heard from her mom that I basically told her to shut up later. My mom drove to our home and was in our driveway screaming and cussing at the top of her lungs. I went outside and told her to shut her mouth because this is our home, and she has no right to speak to my husband in that matter, and I will not tolerate it. 1. Stepdaughter was not a witness to what happened. Biomom told stepdaughter later, and apparently Biomom was so shaken up and upset that stepdaughter can't handle it, and called me to tell me I'm no longer invited to her party or to be any part of her birthday, as my presence would make stepdaughter and her mom feel too uncomfortable to enjoy themselves. 2. The argument was over elaborate gifts for stepdaughter. Biomom's family has money, but my husband does not come from a well-off background. Biomom wanted/demanded the husband buy stepdaughter over $5,000 in jewelry and tickets to several different concerts, which husband cannot currently afford as we took a hard financial hit over COVID. He told Biomom he can't do it, and she came over flipping out that he's a bad dad, and that if he really loved his daughter, he'd find a way to do it no matter what. Not the a-hole. After Opie commented that the daughter and mom got mad because husband could not buy the daughter some expensive things, accused him of not caring, and that if he was a good dad, he would make it happen. That is manipulation. I'll get some downvotes for this, but I don't understand how one screaming match with no physical altercation has traumatized the daughter and by mom. Are they traumatized because dad said no and stepmom spoke up in his defense? I wouldn't let my partner's ex cuss at him and call him a bad father because he couldn't afford some expensive gifts. I wouldn't pay for a party I wasn't invited to either, but that's just me, I guess. Commenting to let you know, Opie said the argument didn't happen in front of stepdaughter, and mom just told her after the fact. So now I'm really confused as to how they were traumatized by this. Can you be traumatized by something you didn't even witness? Stepdaughter is saying she is traumatized by how upset and shaken her mom was when she got home. So basically, she's playing the victim card as hard as possible when she in fact was not in any way? You didn't ruin her birthday. She did. She decided to take sides based on partial information and bit the hand that fed her. Now you get to have a nice chunk of money for yourself and she gets a life lesson. Not a-hole. It's your money, and if she chooses to act like this, then she doesn't deserve a birthday party from you. And she definitely can't invite you from something that you paid for using your own money for that. She can get lost and ask her mom to throw a party for her then for acting like that. This, I'd also like to add. Mom screaming at your husband in your driveway is definitely your business. And your stepdaughter isn't a child anymore. She's turning 18. And so many comments are acting like you canceled a 5-year-old's birthday party. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not trying to actively build a better relationship with my stepson? Last year, I, 38 male, married my wife, 40 female, after about 3 years of dating. And she had 2 kids, 17 male and 15 female, from our previous relationship. Going in, when we were talking about tying the knot, I made it abundantly clear that I would love to have a relationship with their sons, but I'm not okay forcing anything, and would just hope that the boys would accept me eventually. At first, my wife wasn't bored with this. The reason I don't want to force the relationship is that 1, I feel that good relationships are built naturally, and 2, I was the kid. And both my mom and dad and step-parents, mom's husband and dad's husband, tried to force me to treat them as parents, and that just made everything implode when I didn't. And to this day, I do not talk to my parents as step-parents, but about 10 years now. Well, anyways, I never tried to force anything. While my wife and I were engaged, I sat down with the boys and said, I won't try to force anything. I'm not trying to replace your dad, as he was a good guy to miss him too. He was a colleague at work, but unfortunately passed away 5 years back. I had met my wife in a group grief counseling. I was there since my fiancé passed, and we had found solace in having each other in our lives, and life's just weird like that. Didn't even know she was my colleague's wife until she showed me a picture, and her sons are aware of the entire situation. But told them I'll be available if they do want to have more than just a cordial relationship, and they agreed to this. 15 has been more open to us having a relationship, while 17 keeps it completely cordial, as in we're civil towards each other and not at each other's necks. I'd still ask if he wanted to join 15 and me for whatever we were doing, but no hard feelings if not. But now, my wife has become increasingly more annoyed that 17 doesn't want to. The other day, my wife sat next to me and asked me to actively try to build a better relationship with 17, because it hit him especially hard when his dad passed. I said I'll ask him what he wants to do. It's his life and I'm fine with the way things are now. She said that he's just a kid and he doesn't know what he wants, and that I should take him fishing, just the 2 of us, so that we can have a more familial relationship. I again said I'll talk to him and ask if he wants to, but I'm not going to force it. She then got angry at me and said that if you don't try, nothing will happen. I know my kids. He's secretly hurting seeing you and 15 having a good relationship. So I asked if he told her that, and she said no, but still insisted to try more. It's not like I don't try. I still invite him out to ride bikes or whatever, even when 15 is busy. Just the 2 of us, but I just take his no as a no and drop it. I think he's content with how things are right now. I just want some outside perspective. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. You're doing great. 17 is old enough to know if he wants to be around you, and eventually he may or may not want more. 17 years old is also old enough to build a deep resentment towards you if you smother him like a wife is wanting you to. It sounds as if she has good intentions, but disregards her 17-year-old's feelings. Maybe a good compromise could be asking him if he feels left out and encouraging him to come tell you if he ever feels excluded. It sounds like the two of you are in good terms as is. Thank you. Yeah, we're in fairly good terms. Like I'd say common pleasantries like good morning and stuff like that. Just not wanting to join in on like hikes or riding bikes or what have you. But another commenter pointed out that he may generally just not want to, as he is 17 after all. I agree that I should ask if he's feeling left out and encourage him to speak his mind more if he does at any point, and we'll squeeze that in when we get a chance to have a sit down. The only different approach I would take if it was me would be to make sure it's something 17-year-old is into. It might not be you, but the activities you choose. Otherwise, keep doing what you're doing. I think that could work out. Thinking about it, I usually invite him out to do outside activities. He likes to game, like Call of Duty or whatever the hot games are this year. But it's been a hot minute since I last picked up a controller. But I'd be willing to at least try. And hopefully still have the finger dexterity I had when I played games in my youth. Thank you for the suggestion. Not a-hole. I think your approach is the healthiest one here. And the 17-year-old is being cordial and civil, so there's not even an issue. I think pushing would ruin the relationship you have now and the possibility for a better one later. And I would truly like it if a better relationship started to form. But yes, I feel like pushing it would do the opposite. It's like when we were kids and the parents would set up play dates. Very rarely do those friendships last in my experience. Maybe it was me if all of them failed. But I stand by what I said near the beginning of the post, that good relationships come naturally. No one needs to be friendly with everybody, so on and so forth. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole if I let my dad's girlfriend know she can't stay at his house after he died? This past 4th of July, my dad passed away unexpectedly. The death was very traumatic. But it was worse for my sisters and I, since we were the ones who found and tried to save him. My dad left the house in our names and wanted us to take care of it since he only bought it for us. Well, about 3 months beforehand, my dad's girlfriend came from Venezuela to live with him since they've been talking for about a year, and this would be the first time they've ever met. After my dad passed away, she has been crying and grieving just like us all, but there are certain things that she has done that has made my sisters and I upset. While viewing the body, she kept saying how he could leave her alone like that after her journey, and that he promised her that he wasn't. Then while my cousins were over to view the house at his room, she locked the room door, took the key, and then left to my aunt's house. I understand that she is grieving the death of the person she loved, but that was my dad, and she's not considering our feelings like that. She has told me that her pain is worse, and I just got offended because she didn't even try to save him. My sisters and I tried to save him, and we had to see him in a way that we never thought would happen. I'm not sure what to do because she is a good person, and my dad loved her very much and was very happy with her. But these little situations make my sisters and I a bit angry. Edit. I wanted to come and address some things. My sisters and I are not kicking her out right away. She can stay and grieve with us because my dad was the love of her life, but we are wanting to know what exactly she has planned. My sisters and I also have been incredibly kind in this situation because he was someone important to all of us. My family members are here helping us with the paperwork and everything. And from what I know, she only asked for a work visa and not for anything marriage related. I don't want to be rude to her, but it's just become something that has happened unexpectedly, and all the financial responsibilities have become my sister's and mine. We are being very considerate, but we just don't want our feelings to be invalidated because of what happened. My family members never saw the house, and my dad just bought it last August. So when I was trying to show them the house, they wanted to see how he did his room because he would always talk to them about it. The only thing that we want is to be able to go and have his shirts because they smell just like him. Not a hole. Honestly, I'd get any valuables and important papers out of the house now as well, just in case. You haven't known her that long, really. Also, if the house is in Opie's and their sister's name, then they have say over the house in my opinion. She can find another place to stay, but shouldn't be around Opie and their sisters because she makes her grief out to be worse than hers. Opie and their sisters found their dad and tried to save him. Opie and their sisters knew him their whole lives and he was their father. The girlfriend only knew him less or just over a year, and from what Opie said, didn't even try to save him. However, grief and shock at something like that can hit people differently, so maybe she just froze. But her reaction to Opie's grief is unacceptable in my opinion. Dismissing someone else's emotions in general is a Nahal move. To make someone's grief seem less than yours is an even bigger one in my opinion, especially onto that grief being related to a traumatic event. Opie, I would do like the original commenter said and get all important paperwork and valuables out of the house. Get friends and understanding/trusted family to help out as well, as more people equals faster clean out. You also may need a lawyer to evict her since she has been living there more than a month or two, although I could be wrong. You definitely want to change the locks once you do get the house though. No a-holes here. Grief isn't measured, nor logical. She moved to a different country where she knew nobody and has now been left alone. Of course she's upset and frightened, probably not really thinking about how what she says affects others. Give her a bit of slack. That said, you will need to be clear over the next few weeks that your future plans for the house do not include her tenancy. Be gentle but firm, and definitely take legal advice before you say or do anything. Grief brings out the absolute worst in people, as do Reddit comments sometimes. Please be gentle with her and with yourselves. Not a-hole. I don't want to be hard on her because her boyfriend just died and she's grieving, but he's your dad, and she's not being respectful of your grievances at all. Regardless of who tried to save who, it's your house now, and she's crossing boundaries. Telling you that her pain is worse is ludicrous. How can losing your one-year online boyfriend possibly be equal to losing a father? Be nice, be civil, but be firm. If you want her to leave, then ask her to leave. Am I the a-hole for only taking my younger brother out instead of our other half-siblings? My brother 16 male and I 24 male are pretty close. When we were young, my dad left us and our mom. Turns out, for years he had a secret family with another woman that he decided he wanted to be with. For years, we stopped having contact, and I hated my dad for how he broke our mom. When I was 20, my mom passed away, and my dad came back to our lives. My brother was 12, and he was to go with my mom's sister, but Dad stopped that because he wanted him with them. I wished he could come with me then, but didn't have money to take care of him since I was still in school. They got 4 other kids, and my brother hates it there. One half-brother who's a year older, then one same age as my brother, 2 who are 14 twins, and the youngest I think is like 12. They all give him crap and I've seen it too. Make jokes about how our dad chose them over us. Say crap about our mom. His wife doesn't like my brother, so she doesn't do anything but encourage it. My dad's a freaking coward, so he doesn't do anything either. I try to spend every weekend or free time I got with my brother, and we always go out to fun places. I'm out of school and working, so it's easier to see him every day or have him sleep over. My dad lets me see him whenever I want, and knows he can't say no to me because we have a deal. The thing is, his wife and my half-siblings get mad now that I take him to all these cool places, like Six Flags, Universal Studios, the Grand Canyon, skiing, football games, snorkeling, camping, horse riding, etc. But they're always stuck at home. My dad keeps asking me if I could start including them in our outings, and I told him no. Not with how he lets them treat him, and my brother can't stand them. Him and his wife keep saying I'm alienating my other family, and maybe if I started including them, we'd learn to get along. Still I've said no, and told my dad to drop it or I'll go back on our deal. He stopped pushing it, but his wife still keeps saying stuff whenever I come to pick up my brother. They're mostly mad now because in a few weeks, I'm flying my brother to Florida for his birthday, so I can check out the amusement parks. Some of my friends do think I'm being the a-hole because they're my siblings and I'm the oldest, so should be trying to get along. Just don't want to do anything to them for always being horrible to my brother. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Okay, you all gave some really good information and tried to get custody now in comments, so thank you so much. I'm gonna look into it and see what options we might have. Now for the comments. Not a-hole, but info. What's this deal you have with your father? Also, if you went for custody for your brother, the courts would probably grant it, especially if the judge asks your brother where he wants to live. I don't tell his wife about him, that will mess up their marriage. It's the only leverage I have, or he wouldn't let me see my brother. I don't know if a court would allow that even if my brother said he wants to live with me since it's my dad. As soon as your brother is out of that house and away from those awful people, tell your dad's wife all about your dad. Make sure his other children are in the room too. Then when you're done, just look at your dad and say, "Oops," and walk out. But I'm petty like that. Definitely not a-hole. If your dad and stepmom are so concerned about the rest of the children not having fun, they can take them on their own. I mean, it's not like they were concerned about you and your brother having fun when they broke up your family and you both ended up struggling for years. If the half-siblings want to complain, tell them to ask your dad to take them places since he picked them over you. I mean, if he loved them so much, he'd obviously get a second job to take them on vacations. If your stepmom complains about them needing to strengthen family bonds, explain that you and your brother are a family and your bonds are extremely tight. If she wants to strengthen her own bonds, you can give her some recommendations on places to take her kids. I'd even show her some amazing pictures of you and your brothers on some amazing vacations and tell her how much fun you had at those places. Bonus points if your half-siblings are in the room while you tell them about all the great times you had with your family and how close it has made you and your brother. And tell your dad to grow the hell up. They're not siblings. They refused to acknowledge that and treated your brother like garbage. Your stepmom encouraged that behavior and they deserve everything that's coming. That's your dad's fault for cheating on your mother and creating a secret life, and now karma will slowly creep in. You can get along by talking to them and going over, but you don't have to take them out to trips at amusement parks. They've burnt that bridge and it's up to them to rebuild it if they want you on their side. It's awesome to see that you're taking care of your brother. Just a question, do you plan to take him in when you're able to? Seems like he'd be way better off with you than with your dad. Your dad took him in but doesn't treat him like a son. I don't talk to them at all when I go there. My brother comes out the house and will leave. Just started working a better job over a year ago and making more, so that's why it's easier now to do more stuff with him. He wants to leave and plan is he'll come with me when it's possible. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my father-in-law what his wife has been saying about him on the internet? My wife's mom and stepdad separated about 18 months ago. From my understanding, the cause was that stepdad wanted to let his 2 adult children move into their home after both of his kids lost their jobs due to COVID and needed a place to stay. But mother-in-law was totally against it. At first, stepdad obeyed his wife's wishes, but he eventually heard his son was sleeping in his car after losing his apartment and told both his kids they could come. Mother-in-law was furious and would call my wife almost daily to complain about it. Mother-in-law and stepdad got into a big fight about it. And when stepdad told her that he wasn't going to kick his kids out and have them be homeless, mother-in-law left. Mother-in-law has been basically couch surfing ever since. She stayed with us for a few 2 to 3 week stints. It has bounced around her other siblings the rest of the time. Stepdad's daughter moved out last year, but his son still stays with him and trying to save money to move out. Mother-in-law refuses to go back until stepdad's son is gone. At this point, stepdad and mother-in-law are no longer talking. I'm actually pretty close with stepdad, as he helped me with numerous home projects after my wife and I bought our first home. He feels like he's stuck between a rock and a hard place because he loves mother-in-law and wants her to come back, but he also doesn't want his son sleeping in his car again. Mother-in-law has told my wife and I that she refuses counseling because she doesn't think she's done anything wrong, and she won't file for divorce because she doesn't have a job and needs stepdad's income and health insurance. She also feels that stepdad won't file for divorce either because she knows he would feel guilty about cutting her off from insurance. Over the last year, mother-in-law has been posting a lot of stuff on Facebook about stepdad. A lot of bad-mouthing him, calling him names, saying mean things about his kids, and that the only thing stepdad is good for is money and health insurance. Stepdad doesn't have Facebook, so he doesn't know what mother-in-law has been saying about him. A few months ago, I was helping stepdad move an appliance, and he told me how much he missed mother-in-law and wanted her to come back. I felt bad hearing how much she was hurting, and told him I needed to see something. I showed him mother-in-law's Facebook feed and all the bad things she's been saying. He broke down crying, but eventually pulled himself together enough to let me help him screenshot posts and save them. A couple weeks ago, mother-in-law called my wife in hysterics because stepdad had actually filed for divorce. After they got done talking, my wife talked to me about it, and I came clean that I showed stepdad what mother-in-law has been saying about him online. My wife was irate about it and told me that it was none of my business to do that and that I shouldn't have meddled in their relationship. I told her stepdad deserved to know what mother-in-law was saying about him, but my wife told me I'm a huge a-hole because if her mom finds out it was me who told stepdad, then mother-in-law will never forgive me and it will cause a huge rift in her relationship with her mom. Wow, not an a-hole. You did the right thing. I would be worried that your wife might take after her mother a bit, though. Yeesh. Why does your mother-in-law hate his kids so much? My wife's relationship with her mother is complicated. My wife moved out when she was 17. Didn't talk much her entire time in college. It wasn't until she finished college, became a young adult, that she tried to rekindle the relationship with her mother. They still aren't incredibly close. Mother-in-law thinks her stepkids are losers and leeches. She repeatedly calls them middle-aged toddlers in her posts. But she also doesn't work. So does that make her an elderly baby? I know, right? It's okay for her to need stepdad for money and insurance, but not his kids? What? Wait, so this woman moves out of her own home and couch surfs because her stepchildren live there temporarily due to a situation outside of their control. She made herself homeless? Wow, what a hypocrite. Also, ma'am, you put your thoughts on an online platform for people to see and comment. You didn't tell her husband about a personal conversation. You pointed him to what she's telling the world. Not day-haul. Not day-haul. Mother-in-law sounds like an absolute pill. Poor stepdad was just trying to be a good father. I agree with you. Stepdad deserves to know what's being said behind his back, especially by someone he thought cared about him. Can't imagine being in a relationship where my partner would do that to me. Your wife needs to learn to understand that mother-in-law's actions and words have consequences. You are simply a messenger, and she's trying to shoot you for things mother-in-law said. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to attend my brother's wedding after my sister-in-law left my 2-month-old on a park bench? Me and my sister-in-law have always been close. Her and my brother met when they were 15, I was 12, and now I'm 21. She was always really nice to me, and we bonded over the fact that my parents don't like either of us. A few weeks ago, I got called into work and my sister-in-law said that I shouldn't waste money on a babysitter when I could just let them take her for a bit. My husband was also at work. I guess at some point she decided to take her and her dog for a walk. She says they were walking through the park and the leash slipped out of her hand. Without thinking, she put my daughter on a nearby bench. She was in a little carrier, and she ran after the dog. She didn't even catch the dog, and it wasn't until 2 hours later that she even realized that daughter was missing. When I came to pick up my daughter, she broke down and told me everything. I was livid, but I was so thankful no one kidnapped her. My husband was so mad he stormed down to their house just to yell at her. She recently messaged me details about her wedding. I told her I would not be attending. She called me sobbing, saying that I'm a petty witch, and she wishes someone had kidnapped my daughter. I hung up on her and she apologized and said she needs me there. My friends and family have called me saying I'm petty, and that she was stressed, and it was an accident. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. This is nuts. She wishes someone had kidnapped your daughter? Never talk to this woman again. This. What she did was bad enough, but to follow up with this is crazy. OP, you are not the a-hole. You are not being petty. What you are doing is being a mother and ensuring the safety and well-being of your child. This woman is clearly not in her right mind if she forgot about your child for 2 hours, let alone her disgusting comment. 1. Left daughter on park bench. 2. Forgot daughter on park bench. 3. Says she wishes someone had kidnapped your daughter. Not only are you not the a-hole, but she's such a flaming psychotic a-hole that if I were you, I wouldn't just skip the wedding. I would actively try to stop my brother from marrying her. Info. She left her 2-month-old baby on a public park bench for 2 hours because she forgot her? Yes, I need you to clarify this. 2 hours? Yes, you read it correctly. 2 hours. I'm so livid. Like, how do you forget an entire infant? Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to buy my kids cheaper clothes because my sister-in-law asked me to? With a little update. My husband and I have 2 daughters, 14 and 16. We both have high-paying jobs. I am a plastic surgeon and he is a neurosurgeon, and we met in med school. So we are very stable financially and are able to have some vacations and buy stuff we like. My husband's brother and his wife, on the other hand, are not very well financially. They don't have debts, and they have a nice home though. Sister-in-law and I don't have a very good relationship, but we are cordial enough with each other. My daughters are very into fashion, and I think they're very good at dressing up and making outfits. Since they both have very good grades and are well-behaved, dear husband and I like to take them shopping when we have the chance. Yesterday, we hosted dinner in our house to celebrate father-in-law's birthday, and many family members came, including sister-in-law. My daughters were dressed formally since that's what everyone agreed to. When sister-in-law and her kids arrived, she stared at my daughters with a frown. Later in the evening, before dinner was served, she pulled me aside and asked me why did I allow my girls to wear those clothes. I asked her what she meant, and she said that teenagers shouldn't wear expensive clothing if they didn't buy them with their own money. I told her that it was okay, since although they don't have jobs, they work for it by getting good grades. She told me that it was not fair, and that her kids always ask her to buy them stuff from the same brands. I asked her what I could do then, since honestly I don't think it's my problem. And she said that I needed to stop buying them those clothes and everything would be fine. I tried to politely tell her that I wouldn't, but she called my mother-in-law and asked her for her opinion. Mother-in-law said that they had no business deciding what my daughters can wear, and offered to buy some clothes from that brand for her kids. She started calling me a selfish brat, and that I didn't know what hard work is. So I told her that my husband and I work our butts off every day to be able to afford this stuff, and that she was being entitled. She just cussed me out and went to the table to continue eating. This morning, I received a message from her husband saying that I behaved like a witch, and demanded me to apologize to his wife as well as complying with her wishes. I just said no and hung up. Now, they are threatening to go no contact with us unless I apologize, but my ego's too big to do so. So I decided to get an opinion from unbiased sources. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Like you said, you work hard for your money and you can spend it like you wish. She can't honestly expect everyone in life to act like they're at her income level because she's insecure about it. Her kids will inevitably see kids with nicer things at school. That's just part of life. Her reaction was totally uncalled for. Do not apologize to her. Honestly, going no contact sounds like a good idea. Thanks for your opinion. We haven't decided what we will do, but for now, we will wait to see if they calm down. The only way you could possibly be the a-hole is if your girls are bragging about what they have, or being judgmental towards their cousins for having less than them. As long as this isn't the case, which it doesn't seem to be, you're in the clear and it isn't your job to manage your sister-in-law's feelings. Not an a-hole. Like your mother-in-law said, they have zero business deciding what your teenage daughters can and can't wear. Going no contact with them might be better since they sound a bit deranged. Out of curiosity, what did your husband say about their behavior? Thank you. I did tell him about the situation after everyone left, and he just told me to ignore her. But after I received the messages, he got mad at her because he also likes to buy this kind of gifts for our daughters, and he thinks his brother is being entitled. Wait, you don't know hard work? Med school, residency, fellowship, to practicing MD. That is the definition of hard work. And now you are and your family are enjoying the fruits of your and your husband's hard work. Not an a-hole. She is jealous. She can go sit and spin with that crap. I'm a prick, so I would do a photo shoot and put it all over social media with my kids in the forbidden clothes. Update. My husband and I talked with the girls, and they both said they didn't know how their cousins felt, and they offered to wear non-brand clothes in family gatherings so their cousins didn't feel uncomfortable. Dear husband and I thanked them, and told them that it wasn't their fault. Dear husband then contacted his brother, and apparently sister-in-law told him that our girls bullied her children, but we compared versions and realized it was a lie. Brother-in-law apologized twice and made sister-in-law apologize. She was hesitant at first, but did. I told her what my girls were going to do and she said that it was good, but she was hoping for more. To be honest, I feel like the problem is solved for now. Thanks for everyone's advice in the comments. First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to take in my half-brother after my dad kicked me out when I was 7 months pregnant? I, female 32, lost my mother when I was young. My dad met my stepmom and got married to her shortly. I have a half-brother and we grew up together. I was dealing with issues and resorted to the outside for support. I found out I was pregnant when I was 17 and my dad was mad at me. He took away my college fund and saved it for my brother. He and my stepmom told me I needed to get a job since I wasn't going to college and ended up telling me to leave the house when I was 7 months pregnant. I lived with my ex's family despite issues I had with my ex until my daughter was 2 years old. We got separated and moved out from my ex family house and rented a place that I paid for by working at a restaurant. My daughter is doing well and is concentrating on school and art. I heard that my half-brother dropped out of college and that he got involved in debts that my dad ended up paying for. My half-brother went back to live at his parents' house with his pregnant wife, but my dad couldn't pay mortgage anymore and decided to sell the house, pay for debts, and buy a small apartment. My half-brother never reached out nor tried to have a relationship with me. I met him at the restaurant and he started telling me about what happened with my dad. I tried to end the conversation since I wasn't feeling comfortable, and 2 days after that, my dad was at my door. I told him he wasn't allowed to come in after he started asking about my daughter and suddenly started to care. I asked him why he came, and he went on about his health problems, his daughter-in-law's issues with my stepmom, and how the apartment was unbearable with the constant fights and arguments. He asked if I could take in my brother, since his wife can no longer stay with them and causing issues. He said that my apartment was spacious and it's only me and my daughter there. He said that his son can't afford a rent right now and that I should take this chance to get to know him and his family better. I told him I can't take him in. I didn't want to bring it up, but I reminded him that he kicked me out when I was 7 months pregnant. My dad told me that I'm his sister and needed to help and asked if I'd react differently if he was not my half-brother. The argument went on. He told me to not try to punish him by using his son and that my stepmom will then be right about me if I refuse. We haven't talked since, and I have mixed feelings about this. I feel awful, to be honest, and I don't even know how my daughter would react to this. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your father abandoned you in favor of his new family, and now that it's gone to crap, expects you to help him? Don't allow these people anywhere near you or your daughter. It's just too much for me to take. When I'm barely able to stand on my feet, I have experienced difficult times and my family didn't bother even ask how I was doing. They weren't even there for my daughter to try and have a relationship with her. My stepmom still feels the same about me and expects me to keep the peace. I think the best thing for you to do is to go no contact. Block them from all forms of communication and don't look back. Best of luck to you. Not the a-hole. Girl, no. Don't let him gaslight you into guilt. They kicked you out and forgot about you at one of the most vulnerable times in your life. Don't adjust anything for them. Your brother will figure it out if daddy stops saving him. You figured it out. No, ma'am. Don't allow any of this negativity into your space. And who cares what your stepmother thinks about you? She doesn't sign your checks. She doesn't pay your bills. And she doesn't help you with your child. Nope. Yeah, brother can go to a homeless shelter or something. Not the a-hole. He doesn't get to take away your college fund, give it to his son, then come back and ask for your help when his son squanders his opportunities. You're doing well for yourself and your daughter. And him adding that barb about his wife, who even cares what his wife thinks, especially after all this time? Stepmother couldn't even raise her own son to be independent and capable. What makes you think I care about her opinion? Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my youngest daughter that I cannot give her away at her wedding? Long backstory. I have 2 daughters, Anna, elder, and Carly, younger, who are a year apart. Carly and Anna were close when they were younger but drifted apart in their teenage years. I think she started resenting Carly because Carly always seemed to do well, academically and socially. Anna decided to take loans and go to a college she wasn't really a fan of. Carly got a full ride to Anna's dream college. Anna became very resentful after that. She was sure that Carly chose that college to rub it in Anna's face. I tried my best to accommodate them both. Anna refused to talk to Carly and didn't consent to any form of therapy. Carly refused to compromise as Anna kept being unreasonable. In the end, they both stopped talking to each other. Neither of them has ever asked me to choose between them. As long as I don't bring up the other or try to get them to reconcile, I have a good relationship with both of them. Now, Anna is a single mom with a 3-year-old kid, Alex, who is always in between jobs and in debt. Me and my now wife help out when we can. She receives a bit of child support, but I have to admit that she is struggling. Carly, on the other hand, lives comfortably, has an incredible job, and is living with her long-term boyfriend. Recently, Carly announced that her boyfriend proposed and that she wants to plan a wedding in 2022. She asked me to walk her down the aisle, and I may have cried a bit. However, Anna found out, and then she came over to my house and had a breakdown about how she always thought she would be the first to get married in the family, and she has always wanted me to give her away first. I tried to console her, but she ended up getting angry and told me that I should refuse to give away Carly or have a father-daughter dance with her at the wedding. At first, I refused, but she then threatened to cut off all contact between her/Alex and us. If Alex wasn't in the picture, I would have cut Anna off. As things stand, I need to consider Alex's well-being. Carly is staunchly child-free, and it's very possible that Alex is going to be my only grandchild. Without my help, Alex's life is just going to be much harder, and I cannot abandon Alex with a good conscience. While I understood that Carly would be upset, Alex was a child, and he is priority. I spoke to Carly, explained the situation. I told her that there was still time, and I would figure out a way to get Anna to change her mind. If not, I still promised her that I would still be very involved with her wedding, except those two things. Carly just laughed and told me not to bother with her anymore and told me she wasn't going to invite me to her wedding. I definitely know that Anna is an a-hole putting me in this position. But am I the a-hole for expecting Carly to be more understanding? Now for the top comments. You're the a-hole. You're letting your daughter and her selfish wants win. You're not choosing Alex. You're choosing Anna over Carly. Shame on you. If I were you, I'd call Anna's bluff. She sounds like she's not doing too hot in life. My guess is she'd go no contact for a week before realizing she needs all the support she can get. I agree with this assertion. You would not be abandoning your grandchild. Anna would be purposefully taking him away from you. Sounds a bit like you were just giving in to the daughter who throws the biggest tantrum. It sucks to see parents choose the selfish, bratty kid because of the grandkids, yet throw away their other daughter who is obviously not as important as she isn't providing you with grandkids. You're the a-hole. Stop rewarding bad behavior. Carly deserves to be walked down the aisle by her dad. I would also be prepared to bet that if Anna ever gets married, she will still expect you to walk her down the aisle and throw a tantrum to make it happen. You're the a-hole. Holy crap, are you the a-hole? Your oldest child has been an abusive monster to your younger daughter for the better part of her life, and as you've described it here, you've been complicit in it. The fact that you would even remotely entertain Anna's insane demand, grandchild or no, shows how unsupportive you've been. If you want any hope of keeping Carly in your life, tell Anna she's being ridiculous and you're not going to allow her to dictate the terms of your relationship with Carly. Jesus Christ, I can't believe you need someone to tell you this. You're the a-hole 100%. Neither of them has ever asked me to choose between them. Well, Anna just asked, and you gave in to her immediately. You just chose your overly jealous daughter over what? The one that was more successful? Carly's being punished because she was better in school, more social, etc.? How is that fair? And using your reasoning as Carly will never give you grandchildren, is that the price of love to you? It sounds like Anna has been throwing herself a pity party because she doesn't want to come to terms with the fact that she is different than her sister. Not worse or better, but different. And you just validated her not coming to terms with that. I'm glad Carly uninvited you from the wedding. Who treats their daughter like that and still expects to be in their life? Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not following ex's wishes to not be involved with my son? Well, she was technically a fling, but I'll still say ex though. Anyways, I was a young and dumb 18-year-old who thought I was so cool for hooking up with an older married woman. She was 30, and that was considered older to me. I admit, it was not my proudest moment, but I was going through a bad time in my life and was making a lot of reckless choices. Things ended after 3 months and didn't hear from her again. Don't think I'll have enough characters to explain the whole story, so I will need to keep it brief. I found out we had a son together, Jay, who's now 20. He knew about me for years and found me. Her husband found out she cheated as soon as she got pregnant, but still stuck around while Jay was growing up. I never had a clue about his existence until now. When Jay reached out, he just wanted to get to know me, so we met up. From there, we started talking more regularly and I learned about his home life. Jay doesn't get along with his dad at all, felt they were never close for as long as he can remember, and there was always this detachment that he didn't understand until he was told the truth. The more I spent time with Jay, the closer we became. It's made me feel sad, honestly, that I couldn't be in his life sooner and feel like I missed so much. We talk to each other regularly, and he comes to my house almost every other weekend. Safe to say, we've bonded quite a lot. A couple nights ago, I was contacted by my ex, and she told me Jay has completely pulled away from her husband and doesn't want to speak to him. She feels my relationship with Jay is what's causing this and asked me to limit contact with him. When I refused, she berated me for causing them problems and said I don't even belong in his life when I've only been a dad less than a year. I ended up getting some things off my chest that I didn't get the chance to do before since finding out I had a son. Our fight didn't get anywhere, and I haven't spoken to her. I did talk to Jay about this, and he said whenever he visited, they fought, and Jay got tired of his controlling behavior. Turns out, they were also fighting because of the fact Jay was spending more time with me. While it makes me feel good that my son wants to spend time with me, I do feel guilty that it's caused him to distance himself from my ex-husband. I feel like my presence has made their strained relationship worse, and I don't know if I'm being a selfish a-hole here by not limiting my involvement. I have encouraged Jay to speak with him, but he seems set on not wanting any more to do with him. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. He deserves a relationship with you. It's great. You welcome him with open arms and are treating him with honest and caring respect. It's clear he doesn't get enough of that at home. Also, don't blame yourself for being young and dumb. You were only 18, and she was the experienced adult who should know better. I wonder what people would say if it was a 30-year-old man who impregnated an 18-year-old. Edit. In case it wasn't clear, my last comment is to imply that this woman sounds like a predator. 18 is so young, and I hate that OP blames himself when what she did was very shifty. As for the strain on the marriage is from her cheating, she should have known your son would come and find you eventually. Sounds like your son's mother and her husband thought, as long as you weren't in the picture, they could pretend to get past the cheating. Not the a-hole. Your son is a grown adult and can choose to spend time with whomever he wants. If his stepdad did a better job bonding with him as a child, then maybe he wouldn't cast him aside like he is doing now. This drama is on them. 1. The mom cheated with Opie. 2. Her husband stayed with her and resented the affair baby. 3. The mom never told Opie he was a dad, then gets all pissy because he's getting involved now and only knew him for a year, because he only learned of his existence a year ago. Yeah, I think this drama is on them sums it up pretty well. Not the a-hole. Wow, you have done everything right and nothing wrong. Sounds like Jay unfortunately has a bit of a toxic life at home. Jay is a grown man and can make his own choices. I feel sad for Jay that he has felt that detachment from his, let's call him stepfather, but realistically, Jay should be and feel supported to get to know you. I know this as a dad. If I was in his situation, I would support my son to meet his bio dad. Hopefully that made sense. If crap hits the fan, I'd be prepared to take him in and show him the fatherly love is obviously lacked for 20 years. It's what's made me regret my action the most, although I could never regret having Jay. He and his dad had to live with the consequences of our actions. Jay's been living on his own since he started college, so he's not currently living with them, but I'd still be willing to help out in the future if he ever needs it. I'm doing what I can to make up for the years we lost now.
Girlfriend of 6 years left me. Original post. As the title says, girlfriend of 6 years left me for someone she only met online and never met in real life. She took everything from our joint wedding account, while I'm busting myself off working 12-hour shifts for the past year to get her dream wedding. Yes, even during this pandemic. Believe it or not, she met the guy playing a mobile dance sort of game, and suddenly told me she feels an instant connection and chemistry that we never had. Can't do anything about the account as it's a joint account, and both parties can withdraw with no problem. I'm in a city far away from home, working for a job I don't enjoy, for something that's never gonna happen. I'm just lost. I don't even know what to do anymore. Thanks for reading, strangers. Sorry I took your time. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. That's terrible. I'm so sorry. Well, in case she comes running back when it doesn't work out, get her name off the lease, change your bank account or paycheck deposit, and anything else you share. Best of luck. Looks like she saved you the hassle of a divorce attorney. I closed the account. We have not been living together since September 2019 due to me moving for work. Went back monthly just so that she wouldn't feel lonely or anything. Doesn't have the heart to tell my parents about this yet, or even how to start, as they really love my ex and thought we end up together. Not to mention my mom has a heart condition. I'm just staring at the phone, reading messages and deleting photos. That sickening feeling in your heart. You didn't do anything wrong. She flaked out and didn't hold true to the commitment. You should confide in them. You'll feel better. They loved her because you did. They were happy because you were. Don't be embarrassed or ashamed. This is on her, not you. Call her out on her nonsense. You know what hurts? I feel like I lost to someone. Like I'm racking my brains if I'm at fault in a way. I mean, how could one just leave a 6-year relationship for someone they met only in a game and never in real life? Am I that bad of a boyfriend that another dude with a phone can easily do this? I will tell my parents, it's just I needed time to process this. At the same time, I need to choose my words carefully. They know her parents, so I want it to end here, not wanting it to be blown out of proportion. It would still be hard to explain the money thing, I guess, me being foolish enough to get a joint account. Foolish enough to trust. It's okay, man. As someone said, look on the bright side. Better to know now than after the marriage. Life happens, reinvent yourself and make new friends. Making friends isn't exactly my forte. That is why I turn here for advice. No real-life friends, or at least close ones that I feel safe to share problems with. I am trying to look on the bright side, but it's still cloudy seeing that just happened to me yesterday. Honestly, I think I just need some pep talk from strangers and to know that I'm not at fault. She did say she acted like this because I chose work over her, didn't give her enough attention. But I went to see her every month, text and video calls all the time. I don't even know what to do anymore. Gonna start work soon. Let's see if that takes this of my mind. Thank you for the advice. Chose work over her. What is this? A 90s movie starring Tim Allen. She sure as heck didn't care about taking it though, for someone so mad about you earning it. Well, that's not exactly what was said. It's more like I'm willing to move away to a better paying job and leaving her type of thing. I don't know, man, I'm confused. Now for the updates. I informed her father about the situation, and he is not happy to say the least. He asked for my bank statement to work out how much of the money in the joint account that was mine, and he will work out a payment plan. I don't know whether it's from him as he is retired, or from her. My ex is angry, obviously. She is saying I'm immature for involving her parents on our issue when we should just settle it like two adults. Now I'm getting barraged of calls and texts from her and her friends. Didn't bother picking up or reading it. All this while I'm at work. Total headache moment. Second update. Both my parents and her requested a meet tomorrow to discuss things. Except for the payment plan, I don't know what's there to discuss about, to be honest. Leave approved, we'll drive back home tonight. I still love her, but as most of you pointed out, bullet dodged and major red flag. Not gonna lie, still don't know what will happen when I see her tomorrow face to face. Third update. Arrived safely at home, my parents are supportive. They didn't ask me anything, just ate dinner and had small talks. Tried asking for their opinion, but they just told me to get a good night's sleep and not think things tonight. I don't know if I'm capable of not thinking things tonight, especially when I'm drawing a blank on what to say or how to act. It's decided that we will meet them for lunch tomorrow. My parents want me to make my own decision, as they refuse to give opinions so that I won't be influenced by them. They won't even answer when I ask them about the money. My father just said, it is your money, your joint account. Now for the fourth and full update. Sorry I took my time, still processing what happened to my supposedly carefully laid plan to get married in September this year, lol. The meet could have gone better. My ex went out, probably thinking of skipping it altogether, but her father made her come back home. During the meeting, her mom took her side surprisingly, saying the same things my ex did yesterday. I'm not here, can't blame her for being lonely. I'm just being unreasonable and overly jealous about the whole thing, and so on. Her mom also justified her taking the money by saying, I know it's wrong for her to do so, but under the circumstances, you should understand. She deserves it as her dowry or present, because you wasted her time for 6 years, kept her waiting for nothing. I let her talk, as my father told me prior to the meet, to let whoever who's doing the talking finish and just listen. It might be all the emotion talking without much sense included. After all the yelling, I stated that I'm not here to justify, clarify, or blame anyone or anything. I'm here solely because I want to know the status of the funds. If she is happy with whomever, I can't and won't do anything about it. She interjected and says she is better without me at this point, and I won't survive without her for long, and she goes on and on. I just told her that even if I don't, it is none of her concern anymore. I gave my bank statements to her father, who remained silent during the mom's outburst, verified that from about a total of $6,200, my contribution was $4,800. My ex immediately claimed I edited the figure, while her mom has what appeared to me as a genuine surprised face. My ex claims I'm good with a computer, hence able to doctor the bank statement. As proof, I asked her father for his phone, log into the bank where my salary is credited every month, and proceeded to show the deduction made every month coincide with the joint account receiving the transfer. Can only show previous 12 months, any further than that needs to be done at the bank counter. I can't log into the joint account as I closed it. My mistake, I know, so I offered to go to the bank to get another copy of the statements. But her father decided that this was proof enough and gave me $3,000 that my ex didn't spend through direct transfer and another $1,000 cash, out of their collective pocket I guess, didn't ask. He said the balance of $800 and change will be paid in the next 2 months. Her father asked me to send an email to him as proof I acknowledged that I received the total amount of $4,000 and the balance arrangement, which I did. I apologized to her parents for any perceived wrong I did and any inconvenience caused by me for the duration of our relationship. My father asked me to say this, and we left. My parents didn't say anything during the meet, as they informed me that they are there to keep me level-headed during the meet and won't interfere in any way. Then found out about this from my father a few hours after we got home. Her father called my father. They had a professional relationship prior to their retirement and a cordial one afterwards. Apparently, she told her parents she only took a total of $2,000 from the account and left the balance still in it. That's the whole reason her father asked for my bank statements and he didn't believe me presumably. And her mother's outburst, they thought I accused her and overreacted and made up accusations about the cheating because of jealousy. That it's a ridiculous story I made up about how could she, my ex, fall in love with someone she never met is one of the yarns she spun to her side. I didn't feel the need to show any screenshot to them or anyone as I still deemed it as private. Besides, to me, it's over and done with. I kept screenshots just in case. Now for the new update. Welp, she admitted that she was wrong and wants to start over. Just thought you guys would appreciate that she dared to text me using her mom's phone to do this. To everyone who read this, I sincerely thank you. As I read all of your comments and your advice, I thought about what to say, how to act. But truthfully, I don't know what to do even till the moment of the meet. Currently, I'm just sitting by myself. I feel nothing. No satisfaction, no longing or anything. I feel like I'm just here. I know I still love her. I know I will still miss her after a while. This feeling for her for the past 6 years will not go away anytime soon. I won't get back with her because as some of you helped me rationalize that even if we got back together, whatever happens after this, whether it's really her fault or not, I will doubt her first. And that doubt won't go away. Once again guys, thank you. I apologize if the whole thing is too long and for taking your time. Again, I can't thank you people enough, so thank you so much. To people dealing with wild situations, OP kept his mouth shut, provided receipts, and let the ex dig herself into a deeper and deeper hole. You want to scream and rage, but sometimes just letting the other person out themselves creates a much better resolution than getting down in the mud with them. I'd just like to add, this advice also works for anyone dealing with civil or family court. Let the other person tell lies to the judge, let them fabricate a story. Do not say a word until it is your turn to speak. When it's your turn, don't tell an elaborate version of the story. Stick to the facts, don't say the other person is lying, the judge will already know. Show them your evidence and make your speech as exact and concise as possible. Right, people seriously underestimate the value of sticking to facts and providing proof. You get caught up in the emotions of it, and it's easy to start talking over the other person or calling them a liar. It's too easy to do. It takes practice to calmly deal with these situations. Almost $5K. Damn right I'd want that back. It could have been $500 and I would want it back. My ex and I dated for 6 years, talked about getting married in the whole 9 yards, went ring shopping at a very nice jewelry shop owned by a family friend of ours, and got a custom-made ring for about $10,000 that was exactly to her specifications. Ring came in about a month later, paid for it and picked it up. Had the whole plan down to propose, with her friends and family close by to celebrate. The day before I'm going to propose, she dumps me out of nowhere. Admittedly, I had a few problems about a year before with not taking care of myself and my diabetes, and when I admitted it to her, we developed a plan together for me to improve. I improved a ton over the following year, but when she broke up with me, she told me she had been kind of planning it since that admission despite my improvements. Had to return the ring and take a $4,000 loss on it since it was custom, and not one of their normal rings. Still pretty bitter about it. Next month I'm in one of my good buddies' weddings who is still friends with her. We all went to high school together and she's going to be there, and I assume with her boyfriend. I had heard through the grapevine that she's dating someone, but don't look at her social media or anything. Gonna be really interesting. OP's parents, especially his father, gave him good advice. It's amazing to see how parents can be supportive and still not try to steer things one way or another. And great for the OP being level-headed through a very tough time. The ex-fiancé let a really good one get away. She'll eventually be sorry. OP has a good head on his shoulders. Agreed on the ex, though how she managed to maintain a relationship with someone whose maturity far surpassed hers is beyond me. She claimed he was being immature, while she suddenly dumped him for someone she barely knew online. Lied about the situation to her parents and friends to make herself look good or justify her stealing money from OP, and used the friends she lied to harass OP after the breakup. Such a great example of maturity she is. Now for the last story. I left my wife because I'm sick of everything needing to match her aesthetic. I know it seems like a dumb thing to end my marriage over, but after dealing with this for so long, I'm finally done. My wife and I are both in our 30s. We have a daughter. My wife has always been pretty into appearances, but it was never that bad. She just wanted things to look nice when people came over. Then she started an Instagram page for moms and got a massive number of followers, about 400,000 since our daughter was born. Ever since then, I feel like I don't live in a house. I live in an Instagram photo shoot. There can't be any proof that we actually live here. My wife stresses so much about things looking good that she doesn't actually enjoy the moment. She started a fight with me right after our daughter took her first steps because I had put my drink down on the table behind her, and it's all she could see and how she'd need to edit it out of the video. She called me a selfish prick for putting my drink down on a coffee table to watch my daughter take her first steps. Our daughter's bedroom is just a massive beige and cream. There's barely any toys in it, which was fine while our daughter was small, but now she's getting older. My wife refuses to buy her any toys that don't match her aesthetic. My mother took my daughter to the store and let her pick out a toy. She picked out this dollhouse from this show she watches. She got all of the dolls and furniture, and my wife told her she had to keep it at my mother's house because there was no place for it at home. She absolutely had room for it. My wife is convinced I'm leaving for another woman, that I'm having an affair, etc. But I'm not. I just can't keep feeling like I live in a museum, where I can't touch or move anything. I can't even build a blanket fort with my kid without my wife flipping out that they're decorative blankets that she had folded a special way. I'm not going to force my daughter to live in an aesthetic. Editing in, I've tried to encourage her to seek professional help, but she insists this isn't a problem and she doesn't need any therapy. Now for the comments. I would say you are not leaving her because of her addiction to her aesthetic. You are leaving her because she is selfish and obsessed with all that social media nonsense, to that point where she puts that nonsense over her family. Good choice, bro. Any mommy blogger with a massive following is already putting themselves ahead of their family, and especially their kids in my opinion. Those pages are crawling with pedos. After watching it Mom Uncharted on TikTok, I'll never be able to look at mommy bloggers the same. Literally moms selling photo sets of their young daughters to their 80% male followings. I would divorce her too. I don't see how they don't see themselves opening the door wide open for pedos. YouTube had this issue of people putting up or sharing videos of their daughters doing gymnastics in their uniforms. Besides being jerk-off fodder for the pedos, these parents don't understand how even the smallest thing can be identifying information. Your daughter is on the gymnastic team, and the uniforms have these colors. Welp, a couple Google searches later, and someone is within spitting distance of your kid's school district. I'm not making this up either. I used to be on a dating website, and a woman my age at the time had posted a selfie for her profile. From her lanyard, polo, and the amount of natural light, I could fairly well assume where she worked and around what shift. I know how that makes me sound, but I promise I'm just some dude. Imagine what someone dedicated would find. I've tried to tell parents this, and they look at me like I'm insane. Like, why is she even bringing up pedos? It doesn't even cross their mind. And it blows my mind because a lot of these parents are millennials who grew up with the internet, knowing not to share their name or address with strangers, yet post public pics of their kids with location tags every day. It makes no sense. I have a friend who's a mommy influencer. I couldn't stand seeing how she curated her feed over her children's happiness. All of the happy moments were fake. The kids were mad posing for picture after picture. She would hide the mess, bribe them with treats, get the perfect curated picture for her feed, then proceed to ignore them and interact with her followers. It blew my mind to see the behind the scenes of what looked like a picture-perfect life. At least by leaving her, half of the time let's hope, she can actually be allowed to be a messy kid who has some fun. I've commented this before, but I'll never forget this cute little girl at the winter park. Her mom bought her a fancy, very over-the-top hot chocolate that had candy canes, a mountain of whipped cream, and marshmallow snowmen, sprinkles, etc. The little girl was so excited, but the mom had her posing for several pictures with it, and at the end, the girl only had enough energy to keep fake smiling as the hot chocolate melted. Then she and the mom had a sip of it, then threw it out, as it was all melted and not impressive looking anymore. Then the mom sat there, using her phone while ignoring her daughter who started climbing over the decorations, I'm assuming to post on social media. It was very sad to witness.